What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel in another video. Today I wanted to go over an upgrade that I recently did but have not done a video on yet, but something that I've been extremely happy with and has been a big upgrade for me that I also think you guys should consider on your builds as well. So let me go ahead and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Alright guys, so I recently upgraded to the Evo tire carrier back here. Now this is the one that just goes on to the tailgate, so not the one that wraps all the way around. Wanted to go with something that was still tailgate mounted, so I didn't want to drill into the body for the armor guards for the actual Evo full carrier. Just wanted something that would hook up to the rear tailgate because I'm only on 37s right now, and even if I go 40s, this can still handle 40s. So let me explain to you why this upgrade is so awesome and why you should consider upgrading to this tire carrier specifically. And before I get into that, guys, I wanted to mention something here, and this is something that, again, just keeps coming up in my videos here. But when you're upgrading, buy once, cry once. Do not make the mistake of buying a cheaper setup that's only going to last you a year or two. Make sure to save your money, buy something that's quality and going to last you a long time, and also last through any phases of the build that you're going through. It's a mistake that I made, and I'm paying for it now, obviously, but this upgrade has been phenomenal. It's something that's going to last a long time and something that's going to last through any more phases of the build that I go through. So again, buy once, cry once, make sure you do your research, buy quality parts. Alright guys, so if you remember way back when, probably about a year or so ago, I was running the Smitty-built tire carrier on the back of my JK here. Now, after about a year, I noticed some rattles, I noticed a few things on the actual build itself that I wasn't very happy with. The powder coating was starting to chip off, like I said, making some noise. And this all mainly started once I put bead locks onto my Jeep. So obviously bead locks are a lot heavier, especially these ATX slabs. They're a fantastic wheel, but they are a lot heavier than the Moto metals that I was running. So as soon as I put this setup on the Smitty-built tire carrier, I noticed some noise, noticed a little sagging. Just wasn't very happy with the setup. So that's why I went with the Evo. And a big advantage or pro number one for this is going to be that it's a one-piece carrier. And I'll insert a picture up here in the corner here to show you what I mean by this being a one-piece carrier. But it's super important. As you can see, this thing is super well built. It's all one piece here. Let me go ahead and open this up so you can see as well. Might help if I unlock the door. But as you can see, guys, this is all one piece. There's no bolts connecting two pieces together from the hinges to the carrier. This is all one piece. And why that's such a big advantage is you're not depending on bolts to hold together this carrier. So with the Smitty build, it was two pieces. The hinge part connected to the actual tailgate part. So it was a two-piece design. And again, I'll put an example right up here of what I'm talking about for two-piece designs. But again, that transfers most of the load to the actual tailgate itself, which is fine in most applications. You know, the TerraFlex is a two-piece, and I've heard nothing but great things about it, but I had bad luck with the Smitty-built one after I put a heavier wheel and tire setup on here. So that's just something you want to consider. And another pro of this tire carrier, and this is going to be of most tire carriers that are on the market, so not specific to Evo here, but it is included in the kit, and that's going to be the adjustability. So when you start upgrading your Jeep, upgrading the wheels and tires, you need to have an adjustable tire carrier. There's just no question about it. It's a mod that has to be done once you start looking at that, because depending on your wheel offset, your tire setup, all that, it's going to play a huge factor in how your Jeep rides as far as like noise goes, as far as your tailgate goes. You do not want your tailgate sagging and having to replace that. It's not a fun job. And as you can see here, guys, I mean, this is a super, super strong setup. Now this is the adjustable part here. So you unbolt this, and this one on the side, these three bolts here. And you can slide this carrier in and out. Now, I'll tell you right now, with my setup, which is the ATX slabs, along with 37 13.5 by 17 Coopers, I did have a little bit of trouble right here. So the stock bump stop was not touching the wheel, and let me explain the problem with that. So what had been happening is once I would hit 60 to 65 miles an hour, I would look back out of the rear view mirror, and I would see this thing shaking just a little bit. So no noise at all, just some shaking. It was very weird. It was almost like an unbalanced tire. But it was because this bump stop was not touching the tire. It was not getting the support that it needed right here. So what I did, I went to Lowe's, went into their plumbing department, and I went ahead and picked up this little fitting right here. And I'll link it down in the description as well. But this hooked up perfectly, and now I have no shakes, no nothing from this wheel. Puts just enough pressure on here to where you're not getting any noises, any rattles, nothing. So if you're running a really high offset wheel, which I think this one's about -3.5 maybe, or not -3.5, but 3.5 back spacing. I think the offset's like -44, something like that. But you may need to consider upgrading your bump stop situation here. And while we're back here, another big advantage to running this is going to be the antenna mount right here. So most of the time you're trying to find a spot to mount the antenna, whether it be for your off-road flag or your CB or something like that. Evo makes it super nice. It's all built in right here, which has been a huge advantage for me. I know it's so small, but it's just the little creature comforts with these upgrades that really make a difference. And this right here makes a huge difference when I'm mounting my flag. And another big advantage to this, and this is a small advantage, but something that definitely you're going to want to consider. The reason I went with the Evo carrier versus, let's say MotoBuild or CavFab, which are both fantastic products, so I would definitely recommend them as well. But the reason I went Evo, for the most part, this was a big factor, was that it came pre-powder coated. So with these tire carriers, as you can see here, there's a lot of crevices up in there that you have to get to. Powder coating these or painting these is not a fun job. There's just a lot going on here, a lot of crevices, nooks and crannies. It's not a fun job. And the Evo one comes powder coated, and that is a huge advantage because you don't have to worry about this thing rusting. You don't have to worry about touching up the paint. I mean, it's a really, really good option if you're going to be upgrading your tire carrier to make sure it's already painted. And of course, if you do powder coating or painting on your own time, not going to be as big a deal for you, but for me, I've never had good luck when I'm painting parts for some reason, and this is just a big advantage for me. Knowing that it's already painted, I don't have to worry about it. I know it's not rusting from the inside out or anything like that. So that's a big advantage right there, and something you need to consider when you're looking at tire carriers. And if you think about it, comparing to the MotoBuilt and the CavFab, MotoBuilt runs about $649, whereas this Evo setup runs about $720, $750, depending on what time of the year you buy it, if there's a sale or not. But for what, 75 to 100 bucks more, well worth it to buy this thing already painted and not have to worry about any of that. And another pro to this tire carrier is it can run up to a 40-inch tire. That is huge because that gives you enough flexibility with your build to where if you decide, oh, I want to go 40s, you already have a tire carrier that can handle that. You don't have to worry about upgrading that later on. If you have the Smittybilt carrier or have another carrier like Rough Country, you're going to have to upgrade this the second you go 40s because it cannot handle that. But this Evo setup can handle it. So that's something when you're going through the phases of your build and you're planning out your build, you want to make sure you're planning for the tire size and like the actual final product that you're going for. And that's one big thing here is this is going to last you a long time. It's going to last through multiple phases of your build if you go that route, and it's super strong and super beefy. So it's one of the, if not the strongest tire carriers on the market. So something to consider there when you're going through the phases of your build. And how they can run a 40-inch tire on this carrier, per what Evo says on their website, is, the factory configuration, the wheel and tire load is transferred through the tailgate to the hinges. Now, knowing that that's a weak link, what Evo did is with this gate carrier and having it as a one-piece design, it's designed to bypass the tailgate and transfer the heavier wheel and tire load directly to the hinges. And these hinges are super, super strong. So it gives you that confidence. I mean, look at the build quality. The welds are just perfect. Everything about this carrier is just so well worth it. It's a beautiful piece, and it's built right to handle a heavy load in any type of abuse that you're going to throw at this thing. And another big thing too, if you're using your tailgate, like everyone else, look how smooth this operation is. No noise, no nothing. It goes back really far, so you can open this thing up as wide as you want to, and again, no noise going back and forth, no noise whatsoever, and closes securely. Now, going into the cons, and these were hard to find, honestly, so these aren't really cons, but just stuff you need to consider depending on your build and what you're going for. So one con that you may want to consider with this is the weight. This is going to be a really heavy tire carrier. If you're looking for something lighter, you may go with the GenRight tire carrier, the body-mounted one. That one you can get in aluminum, so it'd be a lot lighter. That'd be a great option for you if you're running 40s. But if you're looking for an actual tailgate mounted, no modification needed setup, this is the way to go. You can run up to 40s. Even though it's heavy, it's steel, so you know it's going to last a long time. It's going to hold up. So that's just something you want to look at. I mean, the heaviness isn't really a con for most people, but if you have a really heavy rig already, definitely something you're going to want to look at, because you may have to upgrade your springs in the rear. You may have to change your setup if you're running a really heavy tire and wheel combo with this carrier. Now, another con, and again, this isn't really a con if you're interested in putting the best parts on your Jeep, but it's going to be the price. This is one of the more expensive options on the market. In fact, I think it may be the most expensive body-mounted carrier, right next to TerraFlex. So is it worth it? 110%. It is worth every penny to go with this Evo setup. I would definitely recommend it. Even though the price is a little bit more expensive, save up for another couple more months. It's way more worth it to go with this setup than go with a Smitty-built or rough country and have to upgrade it again in 2 years when you decide you want to go for 40s. And that might work for some people. But if you're in the business of, buying once, crying once, not having to worry about it, set it and forget it, this is the way to go. So I would definitely recommend this setup. And final thoughts here, guys. Would I buy this carrier again? 100%. In fact, if I could do it again, I would have bought this first instead of scoring with the other brands, because the other brands, while they worked for a little while, the longevity just was not there. They were not going to last more than a couple years with the setup that I'm running on this. And if you're running a really light wheel and tire combo, then you might be fine with those other brands. And there's nothing wrong with running those other brands. But again, it's planning for your build, planning for what you want to do in the end game of your build. So it's something you want to consider when you're upgrading. And again, I mean, Evo is one of the top brands in the market, if not the top brand. They've shown year after year after year that they are the strongest parts, the most well-made parts. Evo has a really great reputation. So when you go with a brand like Evo on any part, it's going to be a good decision. I have yet to find one bad part that they make. So I love the Evo stuff. I'm gonna continue to buy it because it's well worth it. It's gonna last a long time, and they stand behind their products. All right, guys, and that's gonna do it for today. Wanted to make sure you guys knew how awesome this tire carrier was. A tire carrier is such a big piece when you're upgrading on your Jeep, because it's something that you're gonna have to buy eventually. It's not something that you can wait on or kind of like shimmy up. You need to do it unless you're not running a spare, which I wouldn't recommend. But again, that's gonna do it for today, guys. Again, we are 11 subscribers away from hitting 1K. So make sure that you go ahead and watch this video, comment below in that video so you can get entered into the giveaway. It should be going really soon here, I would imagine within the next couple weeks. So make sure you enter for that giveaway, guys. But thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more Jeep and off-road content.